Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have another video here, unboxing and review of a Leonardo Officina Italiana pen. Now this is the resin pen. I've already reviewed the blue resin. Now this is the horn resin. So you'll be able to see here that it says corno, which I believe is horn in Italian. So let me lift the lid here. Now, if you haven't watched the previous video, I'll just go to show you what is in the box. So you have a made in Italy, Italian original quality, worked by hand from solid bar, guaranteed for life against any manufacturing defect. You also get this brochure that comes with it, and if I just zoom in a little bit, I'll show you. It's the certificate of authenticity, the Leonardo Officina Italiana, made in Italy, and it says MomentZero or MomentoZero collection, a new beginning, positivity and desire to start with a great enthusiasm, driven by passion and experience, 40 years for writing instruments, a collection inspired by the Italian vintage known in the world, well balanced in the size and in metal details. Now, the makers of the Leonardo pen are a father and son partnership. Now, prior to that, the father was one of the founding partners, as I understand it, for the now defunct Delta company. So they went out of business. The father and son have now set up making Leonardo pens. Prior to that, they were making pens for Armando Simoni Club, and I believe that they still are. So they are making pens for the Bologna Extra Arcos and also the Agiva Tributes. Now, this brochure actually shows a number of other pens, so it shows basically the celluloid versions of the pens. Now, the celluloid versions are the limited edition pens, and these are obviously going to be more expensive. And they are limited edition to a run of 10 pens worldwide. So you can kind of see that the price is going to obviously be a lot more expensive because of those limited edition runs. That there are only 10 made worldwide. So this pen here is a number 48 now. I bought, as with all of my pens, I bought this out of my hard-earned money. So this is not a review sample in any way, shape or form that has been donated to me or given to me. I have purchased this pen. So I now have two of the Leonardo pens, one in the blue resin and one in the horn resin. So there's two types of pens, as I mentioned. The resin pens are the lower end. They're made of resin. They are cartridge converters, and they have a steel nib. The higher end pens are made of celluloid. They have pistons in them, and they have 14 karat gold nibs. So they're also limited edition pens as well. So you can kind of see the price difference with the lower end pens. You're looking around about 150 euros, about 140 UK pound, just under 200 US dollars. The celluloid versions, the higher end versions of the limited edition pens, you are looking, I believe, around 650 euros, so probably about 550, 600 pound, and probably around 700-800 US dollars. So this is the horn version of the pen. So let me just zoom in a little bit so you can see this pen in its glory. It's a lovely, lovely pen, and not too sure why necessarily they've called it the horn. I guess it's the kind of material. It's a little bit more of a sort of I guess sort of like a horn from like, I don't know, maybe an elephant or a rhino or something, where like you've got that sort of like grey type horn colour. I guess there you can quite see it in the cap material there. So like this, I do like this material, and I like the blue one, and I like this one. I thought I liked the blue one the most, but to be honest, I think I'm starting to like this one a little bit more. Now, the blue one came with a gold trim. This comes with a like a silver or sort of chrome style trim. This is number 48. It's laser etched into the body there. So in terms of like you have the cap here. You have a roller clip, which is what you'll see on a lot of the older Omas pens, and also the Armando Simoni Club, like the Bologna Extra pens. So it's a very similar clip, if not identical, I would say. Also, you have the tip of the cap there that comes to a point. You have a number of ring bands here. So you have like a dual ring band or two rings here. And then on the body you'll have another ring. There's a slight step down between the cap and the body, and then the body will taper down a little bit more. You'll have another ring here, and then you'll have the end cap, which again goes to a point. So very, very reminiscent of the Armando Simoni Club Bologna Extras. The way that they taper down, come to a point, and have the same sort of clips. Now these were made by the same father and son team that also made the pens for the Bologna Extras for Armando Simoni Club. So you can see why these pens look very similar, but these are a smaller version of that pen, and I think I can probably show you very similar. So I actually have, if this will fit, I actually have the Armando Simoni Club Bologna Extra there. So in terms of, I guess, like the roller clips, you can see that the roller clips are almost identical. The way that the tips come to a point, it's a little bit more on the Leonardo pens than it is on the Bologna Extra, but very, very similar in terms of, and even like the end caps here. Very, very similar in terms of design. So I think they found a design that they actually do like, and they've stuck with it. And I do like it when companies do that. So it's not really stealing a design. I think I think they've come to this design, and they like it. Now, I guess some of the Omases would look very similar. So this pen is really, really lovely. I really do like the way that this looks. Now, this pen is a really nice material. It's a numbered edition pen. It's not limited edition. It is a cartridge converter pen, so if I unscrew, you'll see here it comes with a broad nib. I had a broad nib on this one, and this is a rhodium plated nib, and you can see there the ink pooling on the feed. Now you have a almost like an hourglass section there. It slightly tapers in and then starts to just flare out slightly. And then you have the threads here, which are not sharp in any way, shape or form, and a slight step down, but it's hardly noticeable to the section. Now, in terms of the filling system, because it's a still nib pen, it's a lower end pen, you are basically looking at a converter, so it's branded Leonardo. Now, I don't have problems with steel nibs, and I don't have problems with international converters. I actually do like them. They're a lot easier to clean. Now, the big problem, if you have watched my other Leonardo video, is the writing experience. Now, these nibs are very, very smooth. Sadly, too smooth. And these broad nibs, now I have two broad nibs, are both very over-polished. Over-polished to the point that both nibs have baby's bottom on them. So if you're not aware what baby's bottom is, it's basically when you take the pen out and you start to write with it, you try to do a downward stroke and you don't get any ink flow. Ink will eventually, through capillary action, start to flow, but you'll find that the first letter that you try to write will not have any ink on it, or part of the letter. So it's a shame actually, because these are really, really nice pens. But I didn't want to so there's two things. I don't want to bash the pen or bash Leonardo, because these pens are really, really well made, and I really do like these pens. But I do have a hard time having issue with pens that do not write properly when you take them out of the box. Now, I guess I have had problems with some Visconti nibs where they write too dry, but they've written to the point where they're not hard starting. Now, I know some people say that they've had terrible problems with Visconti nibs that hard start as well. Personally, I have not experienced that myself. However, I'm sure it is a problem. It's a problem with all manufacturers out there. Unfortunately, with these Leonardo nibs, the broad nibs, I am having hard start problems. Now, I've managed to fix it a little bit by taking 8000 grit micro mesh to the nibs, but it still hasn't fixed it fully. So now I understand from several other people that have these pens as well that the broader the nib, yes, you do have baby's bottom on them. The fine and the medium nibs, not so much, or it's hardly noticeable. So this is something you need to bear in mind if you are looking to purchase a pen. I think these pens look really, really nice, but at the end of the day, you need to write with a pen, and if you're constantly having to scribble on that first letter to get ink to work, that to me then really sort of reduces the luxurious part of the pen, and so I just wanted to let you know about that it is fixable, or like you can get a nibmeister to fix it for you. You could smooth it out with micro mesh and remove the baby's bottom yourself. The downside though is that these nibs have already been very polished, so there isn't a huge amount of tipping now on that nib. So if you are going to micro mesh it, you have to be very, very careful that you don't remove all of that tipping there. So I thought I would just mention that to you. Now, I think let's just do a size check with these pens. We'll do a check in terms of length. The length is around about 137, 138 millimeters, and it's probably around about 63 millimeters for the cap. And then the nib itself, from the tip of the tines to the end of the pen, it's probably about 127, 128 millimeters. So it's not quite an oversized pen in my mind, but it's not a small pen either. So I think we'll do a weight check. Now this pen is fully inked up. So fully inked with cap, you are looking at just under 28.5 grams. The cap itself, you're looking at just under 8.5 grams. And then the pen fully inked with the converter, you are looking at just over 18 grams. So let's do a comparison against other pens. We have the TWSBI Mini AL, we have a Pelikan M600 Turquoise White, a Pelikan M800 Royal Gold Radon, a Conway Stewart Series 100, the Leonardo Officina, this is the Horn Resin, we have an Edison Collier, we have a TWSBI Diamond 580 AL, we have a Classic Pens LM1, a Classic Pens LB5, and a Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog. So let's do a writing sample. So we have the Leonardo Officina Italiana, and this is the Horn Resin, and it is a broad nib. Now the ink is Diamine Bilberry. Now, in terms of line variation, it is a broad nib, so you are going to get a standard broad size width of a line here. Now, you can push it a little bit more and get a slight, almost double line variation. It's a steel nib, you're not going to get a lot out of it, but you can see here in terms of trying to flex a little bit, you can get some line variation out of this pen. Now, in terms of wetness, it's quite a wet nib. So you can see here that although it's a wet nib, you're still getting smears out to here. So it's not a fire hose of a nib, but it's still quite a juicy wet nib. Now, this nib, I did say that I've actually taken 8,000 grit micro mesh to. So in terms of, like, there you go. So that was the first line that I had started, and it has baby's bottom with. So this is just something that you have to bear in mind, that you will find that on the downstrokes with these nibs, because they are so over polished, or at least the broad nibs are, I suspect the fine and the medium nibs are also over polished as well. You are getting hard starts. So again, like, it's only effectively one line. Now sometimes you can get it where it will actually be a lot longer weight, but like, that's been fine there. So it's really the luck of the draw. The nib does have baby's bottom on it, so it's just one of these things. So this nib I have improved a lot more compared to the blue pen. If you look at the blue resin, you'll see that there was a lot more skipping going on. But if I try that here again, like, I've improved this nib massively by taking 8,000 grit micro mesh to it. So that is just something to bear in mind, that you can fix this yourself. I suspect most of the nibs are coming too over polished. Whether or not it's out of the factory or whether or not it's Leonardo that are over polishing the nibs themselves. I have rinsed both pens out with soap and water, rinsed them out numerous times just with plain water, just to make sure there's no oils on the nibs. These do even hard start on not only on Clairefontaine, this is Rhodia, but they hard start on Clairefontaine. They also hard start on Temuray River as well. So this is something you just have to bear in mind. If you're buying one of these pens, the more broader the nib you get, there is a risk of baby's bottom where the nib has been too over polished. It's fixable. You can fix it yourself with micro mesh. A Nibmeister can fix it. Should you have to fix it? Probably not. Like, the nib should come out where it writes properly. Other than that, the nib is glassy smooth. It's a real nice pleasure of a nib to write with. I have no problems with the writing experience, other than it has baby's bottom on it. So I just wanted to let you know about that, that if you have an issue with baby's bottom with nibs, and some people it can infuriate more than others. So if you're a person that don't like baby's bottom on nibs, then you might want to sort of think again about purchasing this pen. If it doesn't bother you, or you like to tinker with your pens, then by all means buy this pen. It's a really, really nice pen. But I felt that I had to tell you about the baby's bottom, because I think it's only fair. Like, I'd love to give all pens an absolute glowing review, and this pen ultimately has a glowing review. It's just the baby's bottom on the nib that actually really reduces that point. So it's a lovely pen. Would I recommend it? Yes, I would. I can fix this nib. I fixed this one almost. The blue one that I reviewed before, I need to work on a little bit more. So it is fixable, or you could take it to a Nibmeister. You could probably swap the nibs out for a different nib if you wanted to as well. But that's entirely up to you. But this is the video review of the Leonardo Officina Italiana horn resin pen. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.